Admiral Deho stood at the wide viewing window of the Imperial command ship Eternal Glory. The stars stretched before him like countless diamonds on black velvet. 20 years in the Imperial fleet had not dulled his wonder at the vastness of space. But today his mind was troubled by an urgent message that had arrived just 3 hours ago. "Admiral, the secure communication room is ready," said Lieutenant Bo-Ra, her voice calm despite the unusual nature of their situation. Deho nodded. "Thank you, Lieutenant. Maintain our position and alert me of any changes." The walk to the secure room felt longer than usual. The pristine white corridors of the ship, normally a source of pride for Deho, now seemed cold and sterile. When he entered the secure room, the lights dimmed automatically and a blue holographic display flickered to life. The face that appeared was unlike any species in the Galactic Imperial records. Its skin was pale gray with faint patterns that seemed to shift and flow. 4 large eyes blinked independently of each other. When it spoke, its mouth barely moved, but the words came through clearly in the standard galactic language. "I am Elder Gina of the Watchers. We have observed your Empire's activities for many centuries without interference, until now." Deho straightened his uniform. The Watchers were considered a myth by most in the Empire, an ancient race said to observe but never interact with younger species. "I am Admiral Deho of the Imperial Fleet. If you are truly the Watchers of Legend, why contact us now?" "Because you have made a grave error," Elder Gina said. "Your scouts have discovered the planet designated as Earth in the spiral arm you call Orion's Belt. You believe you have found another primitive world to add to your empire." Deho frowned. "Earth was discovered 3 standard months ago. First contact was established 1 week ago. Our reports indicate a technologically developing species eager to join galactic society. What concern is this to the Watchers? Earth is not what it appears to be." Elder Gina's voice grew more urgent. "It is a trap. The planet itself is an evolutionary crucible that has created something unique in this galaxy, perhaps in many galaxies." "A trap? I don't understand. The humans seem peaceful enough. Their technology is centuries behind ours. It is not their technology you should fear." Elder Gina's eyes blinked in an unsettling pattern. "It is what Earth has made them become. While most worlds in your empire produced species that evolved for specific environments and roles, Earth never allowed such specialization. It is a planet of constant change, ice ages, shifting continents, magnetic reversals, asteroid impacts. Its life forms either adapted quickly or died." Images began to appear around Elder Gina. Earth through different geological eras. Continents moved like slow-motion puzzle pieces. Ice sheets advanced and retreated. Oceans rose and fell. The humans are the end result of this brutal evolutionary history. They are not specialized for one environment, but adapted to constant change itself. They are environmental generalists in a galaxy of specialists. Deho watched the images with growing concern. "But our initial reports are based on what the humans want you to see," Elder Gina interrupted. "They appear primitive because they have not focused on just technological advancement like your empire. Instead, they have developed something far more dangerous: adaptability." The Admiral's communicator beeped. He glanced down to see a message from Grand Admiral Hana. "Integration protocols with Earth proceeding ahead of schedule. Human representatives embarking on cultural exchange. Tours throughout core systems. Very cooperative species." "It may already be too late," Elder Gina said, apparently noticing Deho's distraction. "Once humans begin to spread through your empire, they will adapt faster than you can imagine. They will learn your ways, find your weaknesses, and before you realize what is happening, they will have transformed your empire to serve their needs." "These are serious accusations," Deho said. "Do you have evidence beyond these evolutionary theories?" "We have seen it before, in other galaxies, other times. The pattern is always the same. A vast empire discovers Earth, believes it has found an easy conquest or willing addition, and within a generation, humans have risen to positions of influence far beyond their numbers." Elder Gina's image flickered, as if the connection was becoming unstable. Humans don't conquer with warships and weapons. They infiltrate. They adapt. They transform societies from within. The hologram suddenly stabilized, and Elder Gina leaned forward. Tell me, Admiral, how many human cultural representatives has your empire already welcomed aboard its most important worlds and ships? Deho swallowed hard. The integration report he'd received that morning mentioned over 500 human representatives already distributed throughout the core systems, with thousands more preparing for cultural exchange. Your silence is answer enough, Elder, Gina said. We have done what we can. We have warned you. But I fear we are already too late. The transmission ended abruptly, leaving Deho alone in the dimly lit room. 2 days later, Deho sat in Grand Admiral Hana's office aboard the Imperial Central Command Station. The office offered a spectacular view of the Empire's capital planet below, its continents outlined in city lights. I understand your concerns, Admiral, Hana said, her fingers tapping on her desk. But your source is questionable at best. These Watchers have never been confirmed to exist. With respect, Grand Admiral, shouldn't we at least investigate? The pattern of human integration has been unusually rapid. Hana smiled. That's a good thing, Deho. It means less resistance, fewer resources spent on maintaining order. The humans are eager to learn and contribute. As if on cue, there was a soft knock at the door. Enter, called Hana. A human woman walked in, dressed in the formal diplomatic attire of Earth with subtle nods to imperial fashion. Her movements were graceful and precise. Ah, perfect timing, Hana said. Admiral Deho, this is Ambassador Taewoo from Earth. Ambassador, Admiral Deho commands our 4th Fleet. It's an honor to meet you, Admiral, Taewoo said with a small bow. Her accent was almost perfect despite humans having known the imperial language for only a few weeks. Ambassador, Deho acknowledged with a nod. You've learned our language. Very quickly. Humans are fast learners, she replied with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. We're very excited about our place in the Empire. There's so much we can learn from each other. Ambassador Taewoo has been helping us streamline some of our integration protocols, Hana explained. Her insights have been invaluable. I'm sure they have, Deho said, studying the human carefully. There was nothing threatening about her. She was smaller than most Imperial citizens, with no apparent weapons or defenses. Yet something about her confident stance made him uneasy. I should return to my duties, the ambassador said. We have the first group of human representatives ready to depart for the core worlds tomorrow. Everything is proceeding according to plan. After she left, Hana turned to Deho. You see? Helpful, respectful, eager to fit in. Hardly the threat your mysterious watchers claim. Perhaps, Deho said, but as he left the office, he couldn't shake the feeling that the ambassador's final words, proceeding according to plan, held meanings he didn't yet understand. That night, lying awake in his quarters, Deho made a decision. He would investigate these humans himself, regardless of what his superiors believed. If Earth was truly a trap, someone needed to discover the truth before it was too late, if it wasn't already. 3 months passed quickly. Admiral Deho sat in his private office aboard the Imperial command ship Eternal Glory, reviewing reports from across the Empire. The steady stream of data flowed across his screen as he searched for patterns. Computer, show me all reports mentioning human cultural representatives in the past month, Deho said. The screen filled with hundreds of reports, too many to read individually. He narrowed his search, filter for unusual incidents or anomalies. The list shrank but remained substantial. Deho sighed and rubbed his tired eyes. He had been conducting his private investigation for weeks now, taking care not to alert his superiors. Grand Admiral Hana had made it clear she considered the matter closed. A soft chime indicated an incoming call. Deho accepted it, and the face of Captain Yoon appeared. Admiral, we've received another unusual report from Outpost Station 47, Captain Yoon said. A human cultural attaché named Jiho has requested a tour of the defense systems. Deho frowned. That's the 3rd such request this week from different outposts, always phrased as cultural interest. Yes, sir, and always focused on our defense. Networks, fleet positions, or resource allocation systems. What reason did this Jiho give? Captain Yoon checked her notes. He said that understanding defense systems was important to appreciate imperial culture, as your society places high value on security and order. A clever answer, Daeho muttered. What did the station commander do? Granted the request, sir. The human was very persuasive, and we have standing orders to accommodate cultural exchange representatives. Daeho nodded slowly. Thank you, Captain. Please continue monitoring and report any similar incidents. After ending the call, Daeho pulled up the file on Cultural Attaché Jiho. The image showed a smiling human male with a friendly face. His record noted excellent language skills, quick understanding of Imperial protocols, and many positive comments from Imperial officers who had met him. Too perfect, Daeho thought. He created a new file and began mapping the locations of similar requests across the Empire. A pattern emerged. The humans were systematically gathering information about Imperial defenses, but so gradually and from so many different places that no one had noticed the overall picture. His door chimed. Enter, Daeho called, quickly. Closing the file, Lieutenant Bora stepped in. Admiral, the Imperial Cultural Center on the capital planet is broadcasting a special event. I thought you might want to see it. Daeho activated his view screen. The Imperial Cultural Center was the heart of artistic and social life in the capital. The broadcast showed a large crowd gathering around a small stage where a human woman stood. This is Subin, head analyst for human integration, Bora explained. She's giving a presentation on the success of human cultural integration. On the screen, Subin spoke with enthusiasm. In just 3 months, human cuisine has become the most requested food in Imperial restaurants. Human music downloads have increased by 700%, and human entertainment programs are now watched by over 40% of Imperial citizens. The camera panned to show Imperial citizens trying human foods, dancing to human music, and wearing clothes inspired by Earth fashion. Their cultural influence is spreading remarkably fast, Bora commented. Too fast, Daeho murmured. Sir? Nothing, Lieutenant. Thank you for bringing this to my attention. After Bora left, Daeho sat back in his chair thinking. The Watcher's warning echoed in his mind. Humans don't conquer with warships and weapons, they infiltrate. They adapt. They transform societies from within. He reached a decision and pressed his communicator. Prepare my shuttle. I need to visit the capital. The Imperial capital was the jewel of the Empire, a planet-wide city of towering spires and elegant architecture. But as Daeho walked through its busy streets, he noticed changes. Signs in human language appeared alongside Imperial script. Vendors sold Earth foods. Imperial citizens wore Earth-style clothing. He made his way to the Central Data Archives, a vast building housing the Empire's knowledge. Inside, he found the research section unusually crowded. Humans and Imperial citizens worked side by side at data terminals. Daeho approached one of the archive workers, an older Imperial woman named Yoon. Busy day? He asked casually. It's been like this for weeks now, Yoon replied. The humans are eager learners. They study everything, science, history, culture, technology. They work in shifts around the clock. What are they researching now? This group is studying Imperial governance systems. Yesterday it was communication networks, always very specific topics. Daeho walked among the terminals, glancing at screens. The humans were methodically downloading and analyzing information about how the Empire functioned at its most basic levels. As he turned to leave, his communicator beeped with an encrypted message. The symbol of the Watchers appeared briefly, before text filled the screen. Meet me at the old observatory. Come alone. Elder Gina. The old observatory sat on a hill overlooking the capital. Once the center of Imperial astronomy, it had been largely abandoned when newer facilities were built. Its domed roof was tarnished, its walls weathered. Inside, shadows filled the circular main chamber. Dust covered old astronomical instruments. I wondered if you would continue investigating, a voice said from the shadows. Elder Gina stepped forward, looking exactly as she had in the hologram, except now Deho could see she was smaller than an average Imperial citizen. "You're actually here in person?" Deho asked, surprised. "The situation warranted direct observation," Elder Gina replied. "It has already begun, just as we feared." "The humans gathering information?" "More than that. Look at this." Elder Gina activated a small device that projected images into the air. It showed Imperial citizens in various locations across the Empire, all interacting with humans. "Notice anything unusual?" she asked. Deho studied the images. The Imperial citizens seem very accepting of the humans. More than accepting. They're adopting human behaviors, preferences, even ways of thinking. It's happening faster than we've ever seen before. The images changed to show Imperial government, buildings. Human advisors have been appointed to 17 different Imperial departments in just 3 months. No other species has achieved such rapid integration in Imperial history. But how? We are the dominant species in the galaxy. Our empire has stood for 50,000 years and has become rigid, predictable, Elder Gina said. The humans see patterns and systems you don't even notice because you've lived with them all your life. They find the gaps, the weaknesses, the places where change can begin. Deho shook his head. But they're not using force. They don't need to. Your people are willingly accepting their influence because it seems harmless, even beneficial. By the time anyone realizes the full extent of the changes, it will be too late. "I need to warn Grand Admiral Hana again," Deho said. "Be careful. The humans are very good at identifying those who might oppose them. They won't attack you directly, that's not their way. But they will find ways to remove your influence." As Deho turned to leave, Elder Gina added, "Watch for the pattern. Who rises quickly to power? Who gains unusual access? Who changes Imperial policy in subtle ways? That's where you'll find their strategy." 2 days later, Deho stood outside Grand Admiral Hana's office, waiting for his appointment. When he was finally admitted, he found not only Hana, but also a human man in an Imperial military uniform. "Admiral Deho," Hana said. "This is General Hyun. He's been appointed as our new military integration specialist." Deho stared in shock. No non-Imperial species had ever held a general's rank before. "General," he acknowledged stiffly. "Admiral," Hyun replied with a slight smile. "I've heard much about your distinguished service. General Hyun has some remarkable insights into our defensive strategies," Hana said. "He's proposed several changes that the Imperial High Command has already approved." "Changes? Without full military review?" Deho asked, unable to hide his surprise. "The review process has been streamlined," Hana said. "The humans have shown us how much time we waste on unnecessary procedures." "I see," Deho said, though what he really saw was the pattern Elder Gina had warned him about. A human rising quickly to unexpected power, policy changes happening too fast. "Was there something you wanted to discuss, Admiral?" Hana asked. Looking at her eager expression as she sat beside General Hyun, Deho realized any warning would fall on deaf ears. The transformation had already begun. "It can wait," he said quietly. "I'll submit my concerns through the proper channels." As he left the office, Deho knew one thing with certainty. He needed to gather evidence, and quickly. The Empire was changing before his eyes, and no one else seemed to notice or care. Admiral Deho knew he needed to be careful. For the past 2 weeks, he had used trusted officers to gather information about human activities throughout the Empire. Now, in the secure room of his ship, he studied the evidence they had collected. "Lieutenant, Bora, show me the placement chart again," he said. The wall screen displayed a map of the Empire with red dots marking positions where humans had been placed. The pattern was clear. They were not randomly distributed but strategically positioned at communication hubs, resource centers, defense outposts, and government facilities. "There's more, sir," Bora said. "Compare the red dots to this blue overlay." The blue overlay appeared, showing the Empire's critical infrastructure points. "They match almost perfectly," Daeho said quietly. The humans have placed themselves at every key point in our system. Captain Yoon spoke up from her seat at the table. And sir, we've tracked the recruitment of Imperial citizens who work closely with humans. The numbers are growing exponentially. How are they managing this? Daeho asked. The Imperial bureaucracy is notoriously slow and resistant to change. It should take years to achieve what they've done in months. That's just it, sir, Bo-Ra replied. They're not fighting the bureaucracy. They're using it. They file exactly the right forms, speak to exactly the right people, and somehow know exactly which regulations can be bent. Daeho paced the room, thinking. They're studying. Us like scientists study bacteria in a dish, learning our weaknesses. Permission to speak freely, sir? Captain Yoon asked. Always, Captain. Is this really a threat? The humans haven't shown any signs of hostility. Perhaps their integration is just more efficient than we expected. That's what worries me, Daeho replied. No conquest, no resistance, just quiet, efficient takeover from within. We need to understand their strategy better. He turned to Bo-Ra. What about the human general, Hyun? Where is he now? He's been appointed to oversee the Eastern Defense Grid. He'll be at the military base on Proxima Station tomorrow. Daeho nodded. Then that's where I'll be too. Proxima Station orbited a gas giant near the eastern border of the Empire. It was a massive military installation, home to 3 battle fleets in the command center for the Eastern Defense Grid. Admiral Daeho's shuttle docked in the military bay. As a fleet admiral, his arrival was expected, though he had kept his real purpose quiet. Admiral on deck, called a young officer as Daeho entered the command center. At ease, Daeho said. I'm here to inspect the recent changes to the defense grid. Of course, Admiral. General Hyun is overseeing the upgrades. Personally, he's in Control Room 7. Daeho found Control Room 7 easily. Inside, several Imperial officers worked at stations while General Hyun stood at a central console, studying a holographic display of the defense grid. Admiral Daeho, Hyun said without looking up. I was wondering when you would come to see me. General Hyun, I'm here to inspect the changes to our defense systems. Hyun smiled slightly. Of course you are. Not at all concerned about human influence on Imperial military structure. The directness surprised Daeho. You're very perceptive, General. Humans are good at reading people. Please walk with me. They left the control room and walked down a long corridor with viewports looking out at the fleet assembled around the station. Impressive ships, Hyun said, but inefficient designs. Those ships have defended the Empire for centuries, Daeho replied stiffly. Yes, against enemies very much like yourselves. But what about unknown threats? Enemies who don't fight, the way you expect? Like humans? Hyun laughed. We're not your enemies, Admiral. If we were, we wouldn't be having this conversation. They entered an observation deck with a panoramic view of space. Hyun made a gesture, and the Imperial officers present quietly left the room. You've been investigating us, Hyun said once. They were alone. Gathering evidence of our infiltration, you might call it. And you've been watching me watch you, Daeho replied. Why show your hand now? Because I respect you, Admiral. You saw what others missed. And because I want you to understand. Understand what? What humans really are. Why we're here. What we want. Daeho crossed his arms. Then explain, General. Hyun walked to the viewport, gazing out at the stars. Your empire has existed for 50,000 years. In that time, Earth has gone from primitive single-celled life to a spacefaring civilization. We compressed evolution and development at a rate unheard of in the galaxy. Because of your planet's harsh conditions. Exactly. While your ancestors were developing stable societies on gentle worlds, ours were surviving ice ages, asteroids, supervolcanoes, and our own violent tendencies. Hyun turned to face Daeho. We never needed warships to conquer your empire. You invited us in thinking we were primitive, but Earth shaped us to survive against all odds. So you are conquering us? No, we're saving you. Daeho frowned. Saving us from what? From your own rigidity. Your empire is stable, yes, but stagnant. You've stopped adapting. Hyun touched a control, and a holographic display appeared between them showing various graphs and charts. Resources depleting. Innovation declining. Social unrest growing. Your empire is dying, Admiral. Slowly, but surely. Daeho studied the data. Much of it matched his own concerns about the empire's future. While your species evolved in stable environments with predictable challenges, we faced extinction-level events every few thousand years. Hyun continued. It gave us something no other species in your empire has. Adaptability as our primary evolutionary trait. And now you're using that adaptability to take over our empire. To transform it, Hyun corrected. We don't want to destroy the empire. We're going to fix it. And run it better than you ever could. The bluntness of the statement shocked Daeho. You admit this openly? To you, yes. Because you've already seen enough to know the truth. We respect that. Daeho turned away, processing what he had heard. I need to warn Grand Admiral Hana. By all means try, Hyun said with a small smile. But I think you'll find things have already changed at the highest levels. Daeho returned to his ship and immediately sent a secure message to Grand Admiral Hana, requesting an urgent meeting. The response came quickly, but not from Hana. Human woman appeared on his screen. Admiral Daeho, this is Minji, Executive Assistant to the Grand Admiral. I'm afraid Admiral Hana is unavailable for the next several days. She's overseeing the integration of new command protocols. I'd be happy to relay any concerns. This is a sensitive military matter, Daeho said firmly. I need to speak with the Grand Admiral directly. I understand, Admiral. However, all military matters are currently being processed through the new, integrated command structure. As the Grand Admiral's representative, I have full clearance. Daeho studied the woman's face. How long have you been the Grand Admiral's assistant, Minji? I was appointed 3 weeks ago as part of the Human Imperial Cooperation Initiative. 3 weeks, and already handling sensitive military communications. I'll submit my report through standard channels, Daeho said, ending the call. He sat back in his chair thinking. Hyun's words echoed in his mind. Things had already changed at the highest levels. Somehow this human woman Minji had positioned herself as a gatekeeper to the Grand Admiral. His private communicator beeped, a channel known only to his most trusted officers. He activated it to find Elder Gina's face. You spoke with the human general, she said. It wasn't a question. Yes, he was surprisingly open about their intentions. Because they no longer fear you can stop them, Elder Gina replied. Tell me what you learned. Daeho explained Hyun's revelations. The humans' evolutionary adaptability, their strategic placement throughout the Empire, and their plan to transform Imperial society. They claim they're saving the Empire, not conquering it. Daeho finished. From their perspective, perhaps that's true, Elder Gina said. They reshape environments to suit themselves. It's what they evolved to do. What happens to us in this transformed empire? You become like every other species that encounters humans. You adapt to them, rather than them adapting to you. The empire will continue, but it will become increasingly human in its outlook and structure. Daeho thought of the changes already happening. Imperial citizens adopting human customs, values, even ways of thinking. Is there anything we can do to stop it? He asked. I fear it's too late, Elder Gina replied. The process has already begun. Your empire invited them in and now they're changing everything from within. After the call ended, Daeho stood at his viewport watching the stars. The empire he had served his entire life was transforming before his eyes, and he seemed to be the only one concerned about it. Perhaps Hyun was right. Perhaps the empire needed this change to survive. But as an imperial officer, Daeho couldn't simply stand by and watch. He needed to see for himself what this human-influenced empire would become, and then decide where his loyalty truly belonged. 1 Earth year had passed since Admiral Daeho first received the warning from the Watchers. He now stood by the viewport in his private quarters, looking out at the stars. His reflection showed a tired face with new lines around the eyes. A gentle chime announced a visitor. Enter, he called. Lieutenant Bora stepped in carrying a data pad. The reports you requested, Admiral. Thank you, Lieutenant. What's the mood at Imperial Command? Bora hesitated. Excited, sir. The appointment of President Sung to the Advisory Council has created quite a stir. Daeho nodded grimly. President Sung of Earth had been appointed to the Imperial Advisory Council 3 days ago. This position had historically been ceremonial, with little real power. But suddenly everyone in Imperial Command was eager to hear the human president's ideas. And the new technology implementations? Proceeding rapidly, sir. 17 core worlds have already converted their main systems to the human hybrid designs. Daeho took the datapad and scrolled through the information. The human technological approach had seemed primitive at first, but their designs combined simplicity with surprising resilience and adaptability. Unlike specialized Imperial tech that often failed when conditions changed, human systems could be quickly modified and repaired with available materials. What about military command? Any word from Grand Admiral Hana? Bora looked uncomfortable.
Sir, there are rumors that Grand Admiral Hana rarely makes decisions without consulting Minji first.
Some say the human is effectively running the fleet now. This was worse than Daeho had feared. In just 1 year, humans had established themselves in every critical system of the Galactic Empire. Thank you, Lieutenant. That will be all. After. Bora left. Daeho locked his door and activated his secure terminal. He had been quietly gathering information for months, documenting the spread of human influence throughout the Empire. The pattern was now unmistakable. His terminal chimed with an incoming message. The Watcher symbol appeared briefly, followed by text. Meet at coordinates 379214, important information. The coordinates led to an abandoned mining outpost on a small moon. Daeho's personal shuttle landed in a dusty hangar. The air was thin but breathable. Elder Gina waited inside, her form slightly luminous in the dim light. Admiral Daeho, thank you for coming. Your message suggested urgency, Daeho replied. Yes. We have completed our analysis of human integration into your empire. The results are significant. Elder Gina activated a device that projected images into the air around them. Countless data points connected by glowing lines formed a complex web. This is the power structure of your empire 1 year ago, she explained. The web shifted, reconfiguring itself. And this is the power structure now. Daeho studied the changes with growing concern. The overall shape remained similar, but the critical connection points had shifted. Many now passed through human positions. They've positioned themselves at key junctions in the system, he observed. Yes, through careful placement and relationship building, the humans now influence approximately 68% of all major Imperial decisions, despite numbering less than 0.01% of the Empire's population. How is this possible? We have thousands of years of established protocols and power structures. That is precisely what made you vulnerable, Elder Gina said. Your empire became so convinced of its permanence that it stopped questioning its foundations. The humans identified those blind spots immediately. She changed the display to show various Imperial citizens. They also understand something about your species that you yourselves have forgotten. What's that? That you evolved as social creatures, with a strong tendency to follow dominant individuals. The humans studied your biological responses and learned exactly how to trigger feelings of trust and respect. They don't use force because they don't need to. Your people willingly follow them. Daeho thought about how quickly Imperial citizens had accepted human ideas and leadership. It had seemed strange, but now it made a disturbing kind of sense. There's more, Elder Gina continued. We've identified what makes humans different from other species in your empire. The display changed to show DNA structures and brain scans. Most species evolved to fit specific environmental niches. They develop specialized traits for their particular conditions. But humans evolved in an environment of constant change. Earth's climate shifted dramatically numerous times during their development. They faced regular extinction-level events. This created selection pressure not for specialization, but for adaptability itself. What does that mean exactly? It means that while other species might be better at specific tasks, humans are the undisputed masters of change. They thrive in new situations. Their brains actually release pleasure chemicals when solving novel problems. They are evolutionary specialists in adaptation itself. Daeho remembered General Hyun's words. While your species evolved in stable environments with predictable challenges, we faced extinction-level events every few thousand years. The Watchers have seen this before, haven't you? Daeho asked quietly. Elder Gina nodded. In other galaxies. Earth isn't unique in the universe, though it is rare. Planets with Earth's specific combination of instability and habitability produce similar species, and the pattern always plays out the same way. What happens next, then? Will they destroy the Empire? No, that's not their way. They will transform it, reshape it to better suit their needs while maintaining the structures they find useful. Your empire will continue, but it will become increasingly human in its outlook and operations. And my people? What becomes of us? You adapt or you fade into irrelevance. Most species choose to adapt. The cold reality of the situation settled over Daeho. The empire as he had known it was already gone, transformed from within before anyone had realized what was happening. I warned the empire too late, Elder Gina said softly. Earth wasn't a planet to be conquered, it was an evolutionary trap that produced the perfect galactic administrators. This has happened before in other galaxies. 2 days later, Daeho was summoned to Imperial Center. He had been removed from active fleet command 1 month earlier, given a ceremonial position with little real authority. Still, he wore his full admiral's uniform as he entered the Grand Council chamber. The chamber was packed with Imperial officials and representatives from various worlds. At the center table sat the 7 members of the Imperial High Council. Daeho noted with concern that President Sung of Earth now sat among them, the first non-Imperial ever to hold such a position. Grand Admiral Hana spoke first. Admiral Daeho, thank you for coming. The Council has been reviewing your service record. Beside her sat Minji, no longer introduced as an assistant but wearing the insignia of a senior advisor. She watched Daeho with calm, assessing eyes. We have a new position we would like you to consider, Hana continued. Cultural Integration Liaison for Fleet Operations. A meaningless title. A way to silence him without creating a martyr. The humans have shown us many ways to improve Imperial operations, Hana said. Their perspective has been invaluable. Daeho looked around the room. The Imperial officials nodded in agreement, seemingly unaware of how completely their thinking had been influenced. They still believed they were in control. President Sung spoke, his voice pleasant and reasonable. Admiral Daeho, we value your experience and insight. Change can be difficult, but I believe you'll find this new role rewarding. Looking at the human leader, Daeho understood what Elder Gina had meant. Earth had created the perfect adaptive species and the Empire had welcomed them with open arms. Now it was too late to change course. I'll consider the offer, Daeho said finally. As he left the chamber, he realized he had a decision to make. Fight a battle that was already lost, or accept the new reality and try to influence it from within. Either way, the empire he had known was gone forever, transformed by a species that had turned adaptation itself into their greatest strength. 5 years had passed. Daeho stood on the observation deck of the newly constructed Imperial Harmony Station, watching ships come and go. His uniform was different now, simpler in design, but made of better materials. The changes reflected the new Imperial aesthetic, a blend of traditional Imperial grandeur and human practicality. Daeho had eventually accepted the position offered to him, partly out of curiosity and partly because he saw no better alternative. From his new role, he had watched the transformation of the Empire with a mixture of concern and, increasingly, reluctant admiration. Quite a view, isn't it? Said a voice behind him. Daeho turned to see an Imperial citizen he didn't recognize. The young man wore the new-style uniform of the Science Division. Yes, it is, Daeho replied. I remember when this sector was just empty space. The construction only took 8 months, the young man said. The human-designed modular approach made it much faster than the old methods. Deho nodded. That was another change. Imperial construction had once been a slow, methodical process focused on creating permanent, unchanging structures. The human approach emphasized speed, flexibility, and the ability to reconfigure as needs changed. Admiral Deho? A young aide approached. Grand Chancellor Jinwu has arrived and requests your presence. Deho felt a jolt of surprise. The Grand Chancellor rarely left the imperial capital. His presence here was significant. Thank you. I'll go at once. The meeting room was simple but elegant. Grand Chancellor Jinwu stood by the viewport looking out at the stars. He was human, of course. 5 years ago, the position of Grand Chancellor hadn't even existed. Now, it was the highest office in the Empire, and Jinwu was its first holder. Admiral Deho, Jinwu said warmly, turning to greet him. Thank you for coming. Chancellor, this is an unexpected honor. Jinwu smiled. I've been following your work on the new fleet training programs. Your insights have been valuable. Thank you, sir. Deho was surprised. He had thought his reports were being politely ignored. Please sit down. Jinwu gestured to a comfortable chair. I wanted to speak with you personally. You have a unique perspective on what's happened to the Empire. Sir, you saw what was happening before anyone else did. You understood what we humans were doing from the beginning. Jinwu's directness was another human trait that had become more common in Imperial communication. I've read your early reports warning about human influence. Deho tensed slightly. Those reports were classified. Yes, they were. But part of our reforms has been greater transparency in government. The old habit of burying uncomfortable information didn't serve the Empire well. Jinwu poured 2 glasses of water from a carafe. You were right, by the way. We were systematically positioning ourselves throughout the Empire's power structures. And we did have a plan from the very beginning. May I ask why you're telling me this now? Because I want you to understand what we've done and why. Jinwu handed Deho a glass. What do you see when you look at the Empire today compared to 5 years ago? Deho considered the question carefully. It's more dynamic, flexible. Decision-making is faster. There's more innovation. And problems, you can speak freely. Some traditional imperial values have been lost. Stability, predictability. The hierarchies that once seemed permanent have been disrupted. Jinwu nodded. Change always comes with loss. But tell me, is the Empire stronger or weaker than before? Deho had to admit the truth. Stronger. Our military response time has improved by 60%. Economic growth is at levels not seen in 1,000 years. Even the social unrest that was building before human arrival has largely disappeared. Because we addressed its causes rather than just suppressing the symptoms, Jinwu said. The Empire was rigid, Admiral. 50,000 years of doing things the same way had created a system that couldn't adapt to new challenges. So you've said before, but why take over our empire? Why not build your own? Jinwu walked back to the viewport. We never intended conquest. We saw a dying empire of specialized species unable to adapt to changing galactic conditions. Dying? The Empire controlled half the galaxy. Size isn't the same as health. Your empire was crumbling under its own weight. You had perfected stability at the cost of adaptation. When the galaxy changes, and it always does, you would have collapsed. Jinwu turned back to face Deho. We humans don't want to rule. We want to survive. And for us to survive, the Empire must thrive. The Watchers told me something similar, Deho said. That humans are evolutionary specialists in adaptation itself. The Watchers. Jinwu smiled. Yes, we've had some interesting conversations with them too. They've seen our kind before, in other galaxies. They understand what we are. And what exactly are you? Catalysts. Agents of change. We see patterns others miss and possibilities others can't imagine. Earth made us this way. Our planet never let us settle into comfortable specialization. It kept throwing new challenges at us, forcing us to adapt or die. Jinwoo set down his glass. But we're not here to replace Imperial citizens or other species. Look around you, Admiral. Humans make up less than 1% of the Imperial government. We don't need to control everything directly. We just needed to change how the system works. Daeho had noticed this. Despite their influence, humans remained a tiny minority in the Empire. They guided and suggested, but increasingly, Imperial citizens themselves were implementing changes and coming up with new ideas. You've changed us, Daeho said. Imperial citizens think differently now. We showed you new possibilities, but the changes you're seeing come from within your own species. We simply removed the barriers that were holding you back. Jinwoo smiled. That's why I wanted to talk to you, Admiral. You were one of the few who saw what was happening, yet you chose to work within the new system rather than fight it. I value that perspective. What do you want from me? I'm creating a new advisory body. Not the ceremonial council of the old empire, but a group with real influence. People who will question, challenge, and help guide the empire's future. I want you to be part of it. Daeho was stunned. Why me? I opposed your influence. Exactly. We don't need more people who simply agree with us. We need people who see things differently, who will push back when needed. That's how adaptation works, through tension and challenge, not conformity. Later, Daeho stood on a balcony overlooking the imperial capital. The city had changed in subtle but significant ways. New buildings rose among the old, their designs blending traditional imperial architecture with human influences. The streets below bustled with activity as citizens of hundreds of different species moved with new purpose. From this vantage point, he could see the Imperial Plaza, where a new monument had been erected. The imperial banner now included the symbol of Earth, alongside the ancient imperial crest, not replacing it, but joining it. Daeho thought about Jinwoo's offer. Part of him still mourned for the empire he had known, but he couldn't deny that the new empire was stronger, more dynamic, and perhaps better equipped to face whatever challenges the galaxy might bring. The Watcher's warning had indeed come too late to stop the humans. But as Daeho looked out at the thriving capital, at the blend of old and new that now defined imperial culture, he wondered if stopping them would have been the right choice after all. He reached a decision and activated his communicator. This is Admiral Daeho. Please inform Chancellor Jinwoo that I accept his offer. As he looked up at the stars, Daeho felt a sense of curiosity about the future that he hadn't experienced in decades. The rigid, predictable empire was gone. In its place was something new, a civilization shaped by human adaptability, but built on imperial foundations. A hybrid creation that might just survive the ever-changing galaxy. The Watchers had been, right, Earth was a trap, but perhaps it was a trap the Empire had needed to fall into.